Good morning. Uh, Third attempt on today's video. First, I was interrupted by a delivery person that was, I don't know, a few minutes in. And I still haven't figured out how to just pause the camera. And so I just continue from where I left off. But let's start again. Every day is full. Every day is full. Every day is nothing but a collection of moments, isn't it? And as is life, as is everything. It's just a collection of moments. The moment that is the now, the moment that is the infinite, the moment that is all there is. No future, no past. Whereas tomorrow, what happened to yesterday? But anyway, it's a collection of moments. And moment by moment, we're provided with beautiful opportunities to learn, to grow, to process, to reflect, to appreciate, to love. And it's always good to take stock, to appreciate what you have, what you are in that moment. Complete, undivided, non-separated, connected to all, to everyone, to everything. And it's actually nothing short of a miracle that this is the condition in which we find ourselves, truly find ourselves. It's the reward for the searching and the questioning and never the end of a pursuit, of a journey. There is no end, just as there was no beginning. It's a loop, a spiraling loop. But if you don't take an opportunity to learn, to grow from the moment, just how do you suggest any growth at all? So it's just a chance to review, just a chance to see how you're doing in the moment. And events happen, things happen. And 2 days ago, I put my big kitty, Pepper, my big boy, out on the balcony outside my bedroom slash studio slash office. And this is a common thing for me to do. He loves to just lay out there and sunbathe. Well, I went downstairs and got distracted downstairs doing some things. And when I came back up to find him, usually he'll meow at the door when he's ready to come in. But most times when I check on him, he just looks at me, doesn't move. He's very content where he is. So, come back upstairs and open the door, and no big kitty, no Pepper. He's gone. It's about only a 3-foot jump from the balcony to the garage roof. But because he has problems with his hips, He was a condition that he was born with, that he doesn't feel pain, but he just doesn't have complete use of his back legs. And after all, the back legs are where the jumping power comes from. That's their springs. So he doesn't have confidence in his back legs, and he a little bit wobbles. And it's a neurological condition, and I forget the name of it, but they're born with it. It's apparently hereditary, and again, it doesn't affect their overall health other than not enjoying full use of their back legs and not trusting the legs as well. But anyway, he's gone. And I can only speculate that some bird, it's never done this before. He's had ample opportunities, but he's never done this before. So what was different about this time? I don't know, maybe a bird landed. But anyway, it's quite difficult to get from the top of the garage down to the ground. And I'm not quite sure how he figured it out. It's quite maybe 12 feet. And a fully healthy cat could do that probably in its sleep. But we're four townhouses connected together, and the roof continues. And I just couldn't figure out how he got down, much less where he went. And I went looking, obviously I went looking, I rattled his food bowl because he loves his food bowl. And no kitty. Well, I was devastated, just you can't imagine, because he's always not more than 3 or 4 feet from me. As I'm speaking to you now, he's right here sleeping on the bed, listening to me tell his story, I guess. And I spent all day searching, talking to the neighbors, asking if anyone has seen him, and really at a loss of what was next. My wife is up in Taipei, house sitting another kitty, and I had to call her and tell her she needed to know. And of course, there's 2.5 hours away by the fast train, and she was at a loss of what she could do. But she loves this Pepper. She loves him. We both do. So I spent the day wondering what it's going to be like without him. How I could get along without him. We have another little rescue, a little girl. We call her Little, that we rescued 6 or 7 months she's been with us, I guess. She's going on she'll be a year, I think, in December, sometime around December, January. Make her a year old. But she's a little kitty, but she can do everything the big kitty can't do. She can jump like you wouldn't believe. And she's just, her personality is just blossoming, and she's becoming a fantastic addition to our family. And her and Pepper, Big Kitty, are close. Very close. Of course, the bull, as I call Pepper, he just kind of struts around, and he's big head, and he asserts his dominance over the little one, over Little, whenever he deems it necessary. But anyway, it's his house, and he suffers her presence, and it reminds her of that, the pecking order. It's fun to watch. But Little just was so close. She's very independent compared to him. But when he's missing, she just stuck with me. She didn't go far. Well, I'm calling this video 19 hours because that's how long he was gone. So I'm already spoiling my story. He's back in all his glory, and I've already mentioned he's right here. But it was, this experience was, for him it was probably traumatic. I doubt that he slept during that time. I know he didn't eat. He doesn't trust other people, so I didn't think that he would allow anyone to pick him up or to catch him. He'll bite if he's not happy with what's going on. So, and since he was a rescue kitty, also he came off the street. I think somebody just dumped him because of the hip problem. When he was a little kitten, it was really obvious. He just kind of swayed like a drunken sailor, they say. And somebody just discarded him because, out of ignorance probably, but basically out of fear that something was wrong with the kitty and it might cost them money to take care of him. Anyway, a sweet lady found him, and through a friend on Facebook, he became ours. About a little more than 2.5 years ago. We guessed he was about 4 months old at that time when we got him. And he's just the best kitty ever. But anyway, what did this 19 hours mean to me? How did I react? Well, what did I do? I searched high and low. And told my wife. And she too felt, I'm here, and I felt helpless. Imagine how she felt a couple 100 kilometers away. So during my meditation, I of course turned my meditation to him, asking him to come home, asking him to be safe, because we had no idea. My street out in front of my house is pretty busy. Not super busy, but it's a 2-lane road, and it's kind of a connecting road, and it's people in the know use it. So it's a steady stream of traffic, from scooters to pretty big trucks and buses. And people have a tendency to drive too fast. So I thought, he's not going to survive. He has no experience. How's he going to survive and be safe from these big trucks? And half the time I was riding, I kept expanding my search area, but hoping beyond hope that I wouldn't find his remains, a squished kitty hit by a car. So it was with mixed feelings when I searched the area. The first intent is looking for him, but hoping against hope not to find his remains, and I didn't. So after I pretty much exhausted my search on my bicycle and walking as well, I knew it was time to try to communicate with my neighbors. Well, my Chinese is really poor, and my neighbors don't speak English anywhere around, except the lady 3 houses down. So I went to see her because she's a nice, dear friend. And she had this little black kitten that was new. That was a little stinker. He was so cute. He's jumping, he's biting my shoes, he's jumping all around. And she's standing there with the gate open to the street. And he's really smart about staying off the road. He knows. But he came from a feral cat. He came from out there. And it was The irony didn't escape me. I lost a kitty. The neighbor gained a kitty. A few nights ago, I heard this loud meowing, and I looked high and low, and I just couldn't find anything, and it was bothered me. But it seems like my neighbor, the little kitty, they found each other, and she just told me she left. He just adopted me. He wants to live here. So old and new. The cycle of life, isn't it, after all? And somehow, knowing that this little guy got rescued to a great home off the street, and trust me, the life here of a cat on the street is not good. They're the lowest in the pecking order. They're the very bottom. They spend most of their time huddled and hiding and do their living at night. So I knew that this little guy was a lucky, and he was so full of life and so cute. And part of me just remembered that I was a little ill at ease because I knew that somebody was meowing and I just couldn't find him. And it persisted through most of the day. And I went out several times and looked everywhere and just didn't see him. But he found his home. Funny how that works out. So I found this oddly comforting because I understand the cycle of life, and maybe it's time to move on. But I was really struggling with it. I just couldn't imagine not having Big Kitty around. It was tough. So I guess it was about 10 in the morning between 10 and 11 that he got out. And as the day progressed, after I'd pretty much exhausted, the neighbor helped me, gave her a picture of Big Kitty, and she spoke to neighbors, and nobody had seen him. So I have this chair that I sit on my front porch in my garage, facing the street, with a view through the gate. My peaceful place. And I've done my meditation sitting on the porch. It's become my meditation spot of choice. So I knew that I know enough about life that you can't abandon your process. You can't abandon your I couldn't abandon my meditation, even though it was harder to get into my meditation. I knew that perhaps this was the most authentic, the most likely, the most real way that I could have some contact with the kitty. Just wish him well, wish him safety. And as I was sitting there, I looked at the front gate and I thought, I have to open the front gate a hair and leave it open, because if he does come home, how's he going to get in? And then, because my little kitty is so curious, I have to close the front door so that otherwise she has access to the garage, and she would probably go out the gate out of curiosity. She's a curious little thing. She'd probably go out of the gate, and there I would be. So, close the front door. As it got towards evening, well into the evening, spent the late afternoon, as is my custom, my want, my habit, in meditation and just sitting on the front porch. So it's getting colder here, and I came in, shut the door, left the gate open, not knowing what else I could do. And to come upstairs and have a really restless, no sleeping involved. Kept going down to check. I put his food out on the front porch steps and keep coming downstairs to check. And finally, maybe around 3, I fell asleep. Fitfully. And little Kitty was right with me, sleeping between my legs. But she was just as restless as I was. And before 5, between 4:30 and 5, my eyes popped open. And I just had a feeling, get up and check again. And when I checked, much to my astonishment, my relief, my total happiness, there was Big Boy. There was Pepper, sitting, looking up, wondering why he's closed out of his house. So he was home. And of course I'm asking him, hey, where were you? And he's not talking. He's like that. He's a strong silent type. He's not telling me where he was. He just wanted to eat, drink, water, use his litter box, and then he came upstairs to my bed. Well, it's actually his bed, and crashed on his favorite blanket and didn't move for a solid 10 hours. And Little was keeping him company. She also didn't have much sleep, and she was worried, I guess, in her way too. And she slept next to him. And I ended up taking a super long nap because I hadn't slept, so 3 exhausted souls on the bed. And I was, needless to say, when I sent Colleen, my wife, a text and a picture, and I took a picture of Kitty on the bed and said, look who's back. And she called me, and we just were so happy about what happened. And she told me that she had also been praying and meditating for Pepper's safety and telling him to please come home, that he's missed, that he's loved, that he has a nice soft bed. It's a cool, cold, cruel world out there. As he undoubtedly found out. He was fine. He was dirty. He's got a white belly and white paws and brown spots, but he was dirty, like he'd been under a car or something. Little white feet, little white belly, big white belly. Nothing little about Pepper. But other than that, I couldn't find anything else, any entries. So he got off lucky, and we considered ourselves the luckiest of all because our cat came home. During the course of the afternoon, when I forgot to mention that when I was sitting on the front stoop in my meditation, my brother stopped by, and I was sharing with him about the missing cat and how devastated we were. And he said, hey, don't worry, he'll come back. And I got a boost, really a boost. Thanks, brother. Your words were well intended, well received, and very comforting, even though I remain skeptical, thinking, this cat, we always thought that if he was out on the street, he really couldn't survive. So we underestimated him. He fooled us. He survived. Certainly not without some trauma on his part, not to mention the trauma here for me and my wife. But what did I take away from this? Well, of course I felt responsible and guilty that I let him out on the front porch, on the back porch. And that's how he was able to escape, get out, adventure into the wild. The wild of humanity. Man created wilderness. It's wilderness without the beauty for the greatest part. It's wilderness with noise, without the quiet of the real wilderness. But it's wild. It's a wilderness nonetheless. A wilderness to Big Kitty, for sure. So, took away several things from this. Number one is that I just appreciated beyond words my brother's prescient words that came so true, but that were so comforting. As well. Now, I always forgive myself, but I don't forget, because I want to take away from everything. And other than guilt, some sense of failure that I had, that my wife left me with the responsibility for the kitties, and I let her down. I let the kitty down. So I was wondering, how am I going to carry this burden? Because it seemed like it would be. There's no wishing it away. This happened. And I was the agent of this happening. And during that day, that 19 hours, I thought, looking ahead, which I seldom do. I don't look back and I don't look forward. But I was looking ahead to try to understand, try to see what life would be like without Big Kitty. And it was just a hollow place. As anyone that's experienced any loss, someone or anything close to them fully understands. So no amount of experience, of wisdom, of awakening can protect us from the world. Again, it's how we respond, how we accept, how we deal. So I knew at the time that thinking in the future is like a spin in the wind. It's kind of useless. But someone missing or passing, the finality of it really hits home. You won't see that person. Death, you won't see that person in their body again. Now missing, there's some hope. But there's also wondering where he is, what's he doing, how's he, oh, he's okay. I hope he can survive. I hope people are nice to him. I hope nobody hurts him. All of these things, these considerations, these speculations. So as it turned out, sitting, meditating, and seeing that I needed to leave the gate open, as obvious as that might seem to most, hadn't really occurred to me. I didn't think that it was possible to, it was safe to leave the front gate to our house open, even though it was just a kitty width. But anyone could push, anyone could come in, anything could happen. But that simple act of getting up and opening the gate, of preparing a way that he could come in and little kitty couldn't get out. And that night, well, from the time he was missing, I didn't eat anything. I drank some water because it's one of my projects to keep hydrated. I drank some water, but couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't really talk very well. But looking back on my behavior of the 19 hours that Kitty was missing, I don't think I did that poorly. It's natural to feel guilt. Nothing was untowards. Nothing was different than as it should be. I didn't have some unshakable faith that he would be back like my brother did. I had some doubt. And as always, doubt is part of who I am. So I live with doubt all the time. Doubt was the single most important process or attribute that I had in my toolbox of tools available on my journey, my spiritual journey. So I took away from that is that, first of all, how grateful that my shortcoming, my inability to anticipate that Kitty could get out, my taking for granted that I've done it before, so it's okay, it's always okay. It's the taking for granted. I need to consider all possibilities at any given time. So, to those of you that struggle with the challenge that life gives us, sometimes you get lucky, like I did, and sometimes you don't. My meditation, my prayers, my attempts to communicate with my kitty, to send him love and light that would envelop him and keep him safe, and to fully understand that if he wasn't come back to me, that's what is.